The hum of the starship's engines faded as Commander Alex Reinhardt stepped onto the soft alien soil of the planet. He looked around, taking in the vast expanse of violet grass that swayed gently in the wind, stretching toward jagged mountains that seemed to touch the twin suns hanging low in the sky. The planet was quiet, almost unnervingly so. The signals that had led him here were faint yet persistent, calling him toward something he could not yet understand. Alex adjusted his helmet, checking the scanner on his wrist. The readings pointed to energy concentrations unlike anything humanity had ever detected. His team, 2 engineers and a linguist, had set up a temporary base near the edge of a shimmering forest. The trees glowed faintly in the dim light, their leaves pulsating as if alive. Alex had been ordered to investigate, to find the source of the signals and determine whether this world was safe. He moved forward alone, leaving the small group behind. Something inside him urged him to go deeper into the forest. The wind whispered through the strange foliage, carrying a faint vibration that tickled his senses, and then he heard it. A soft voice, almost like a breeze, whispering his name. "You're late." Alex froze, scanning the shadows, but he saw nothing. No movement, no shapes, just the strange luminescent trees and the violet grass beneath his boots. His heart beat faster. He had expected many things when he came to this planet, but not a voice that seemed to know him. "Who's there?" he called cautiously. His voice sounded small against the vast emptiness of the forest. The whisper came again, more certain this time. "You're late." Alex blinked. The words were the same, but somehow they carried a meaning that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. And then he saw her, a figure delicate and ethereal, stepping lightly over the glowing grass. She was small, perhaps the same age as him, with skin that shimmered faintly in the twilight. Her hair was silver, flowing like water over her shoulders, and her eyes glowed with a soft light. She looked human in shape, but there was something otherworldly about her, something that made him realize she was not of this world. I don't understand," Alex said, taking a cautious step forward. "Do I know you?" She tilted her head slightly, her gaze piercing yet calm. "No, but I've been waiting." Her voice was gentle, almost musical. "For you," Alex hesitated. There was no fear in her expression, only a quiet certainty. Against his better judgment, he lowered his weapon. Something in her presence was disarming, like the calm before a storm. "I'm Commander Alex Reinhardt," he said. "I was sent to investigate the signals here." "Who are you?" "My name is Lyra," she replied. "I've been watching, waiting for the right moment." "Watching? You mean, you've seen humans before?" Alex asked, though the way she said it suggested she knew far more than he could understand. Lyra nodded. "Not just humans, you are important," Alex frowned. The idea that this small, mysterious being knew about him personally, and even seemed to anticipate his arrival, was unsettling. "Important? How, why?" Lyra's gaze drifted to the horizon, where the twin suns were beginning to dip behind the mountains. "There is a danger coming, something that could destroy everything, and you, of all humans, may be the one to stop it. But you are late," the word sent a chill down his spine. Late for what? He had spent years preparing for missions like this, but he had no clue what this warning meant. Yet in her eyes he saw no lies, no hesitation, only certainty. "Come," she said softly, turning toward the glowing forest. "I will show you what you need to see." Alex followed her, feeling an odd mix of curiosity and apprehension. The forest seemed alive, the light from the trees shifting as they moved. He noticed that the air itself hummed with energy, and his instruments went wild, readings spiking in ways he couldn't immediately explain. Every step he took felt guided, as if the forest itself recognized Lyra and responded to her presence. After a short walk, they reached a clearing. There, in the center, was a structure that defied comprehension. It rose like a spire of crystal, pulsating with energy that seemed to flow like liquid through its walls. The surface shimmered in shades of silver and blue, reflecting the suns and the forest in a kaleidoscope of color. Alex could see faint figures moving inside, tall, thin beings with glowing skin and eyes that radiated intelligence and power. "Is this a city?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Lyra nodded. "This is where my people live. We have been observing humanity for centuries. We called ourselves the Valerians, and now you are here." Alex stepped closer, unable to hide his awe. The architecture was beyond anything humans had ever built or imagined. The walls shifted subtly, almost as if breathing. Doors opened and closed without hinges or handles, and lights moved along the surfaces as though they were alive. It was a city that thought for itself. Why me? Alex asked. Why am I important? Lyra's gaze met his. Because you are human. Your kind surprises us. Your kind adapts even in impossible situations. You fight when others flee. You find solutions when the odds are stacked against you. That is why we watch. That is why I am here, and that is why you are late. Alex's mind raced. He had been trained for combat, for exploration, for diplomacy, but this was unlike anything he had faced. It wasn't just a new planet or new life. It was a civilization that had been watching humanity, judging it and now expecting something from him. Late for what? He asked again, though he already feared he knew the answer. Lyra's expression softened. Late for the first step. You came after the warning. You could have arrived sooner, but now you are here. That is what matters. Alex swallowed, feeling the weight of her words. He realized that his journey wasn't about exploration or science anymore. It was about survival, about proving that humans could rise to challenges even the universe had not anticipated. As they stood in the clearing, Lyra took his hand, guiding him toward the crystal spire. The energy thrummed beneath his feet, resonating with something deep inside him. For a moment, he felt connected to the planet, to the forest, and to the city itself. He could sense possibilities, outcomes that shifted with every decision. This is just the beginning, Lyra said softly. You must understand what is coming. You must be ready. Alex nodded, though he had no idea what that meant yet. He only knew one thing with certainty. Nothing would ever be the same again. Humanity had entered a wider universe, and the challenges ahead would test everything they believed about themselves. The night deepened, and the twin moons rose over the horizon. The crystal spire glowed brighter, casting long, shimmering shadows across the violet grass. Lyra led Alex inside, and as he stepped through the threshold, he felt a strange sensation, as though he were passing into another world entirely, one where human limitations no longer applied, and where choices could shape the fate of more than just his species. Alex took a deep breath. The adventure had begun, and somehow he knew that Lyra's whisper was both a warning and a promise. You're late, she repeated, this time with a hint of a smile, but you are here now. That is what counts. For the first time in his life, Alex felt both fear and hope in equal measure. The unknown stretched before him, and he was ready to face it one step at a time. Alex stepped carefully into the crystal spire, the air inside humming with a soft energy that seemed to resonate with his very heartbeat. The walls shimmered with shifting patterns of light, and every surface seemed alive, as if the building itself were observing him. He felt a strange pull, like the city was guiding his steps, and Lyra walked ahead with a calm certainty, her glowing eyes reflecting both the light and the knowledge she carried. Where are we going? Alex asked, trying to mask his awe. To understand, Lyra replied. To see why humans are being watched. To see why you are important. As they moved through the spire, Alex noticed other figures, tall, graceful beings with luminous skin and elongated limbs, gliding silently along corridors that twisted impossibly. Some glanced at him, their eyes curious but not hostile, and Alex felt an unexpected surge of calm. Despite their alien forms, there was no aggression, only observation. Your people have been observing humans for a long time, Alex said cautiously. Why? What are you looking for? Lyra glanced at him, her expression unreadable. Humans are unpredictable. Others of my kind rely on logic, calculation, and control. But humans adapt, survive, and fight in ways we cannot always foresee. That is why we watch. That is why I am here, Alex frowned. So you're testing us? In a way, Lyra said softly, but not with force. With understanding, with choice. They entered a large chamber circular in shape with a high ceiling that seemed to stretch infinitely. The walls shimmered with projections of stars, galaxies, and worlds Alex had never seen. In the center, a pool of liquid light rippled as if alive. The images shifted, forming what looked like a map of countless civilizations, some thriving, some destroyed. This is the archive of possibilities, Lyra explained. Here we see what could happen, what has happened, and what might happen if choices are made differently. Alex stepped closer, fascinated. Are these futures? Lyra nodded. Some are. Some are possibilities that may never come to pass. but all are influenced by decisions, courage, and ingenuity. You see, humans are more capable than we imagined. That is why you are here. That is why you were called late. Alex studied the shifting images, trying to comprehend the scale of what he was seeing. Entire civilizations rising and falling in moments. Battles fought in ways he could barely imagine. Planets destroyed or saved by the smallest choices. It was overwhelming, yet thrilling. Why me? He asked again. Why not someone else? Lyra's eyes softened. Because you are human. You think in ways that others cannot. You improvise. You feel deeply, you care. And sometimes, that is enough to change everything. Alex took a deep breath, trying to absorb her words. He had always known humans were capable of resilience. But to hear it recognized by a being like Lyra made him feel both proud and frightened. The responsibility was enormous. Suddenly, a ripple ran through the pool of light, and the images shifted to a scene of chaos. A shadowy fleet moving across a star system, destroying planets and leaving silence in its wake. Alex's heart skipped a beat. What is that? He asked, his voice tight. Lyra's expression darkened. A threat we have been monitoring for centuries. They destroy without reason, without mercy. They consume worlds, and if they reach your galaxy, few will survive. That is why your arrival matters. You may be one of the first humans to face them directly, and you may be the spark that shows the universe what humans are capable of. Alex felt a surge of determination. Then we have to be ready. Lyra nodded, and for the first time she touched his hand. The warmth that spread through him was both comforting and strange, as if she were transferring a small portion of her awareness to him. The images in the pool shifted again, showing battles where humans, though outnumbered, used ingenuity, courage, and adaptability to turn the tide. These are possibilities, Lyra said. Paths you could take. Humans can survive if they embrace their strengths, if they trust each other, and if they are willing to act when the moment comes. Alex's mind raced. The challenge was enormous, but for the first time he felt that humans could rise to meet it. And he realized something else. Lyra had not just guided him to this city or to the archive. She had guided him to a truth he had always known deep down. Humans could do the impossible. They spent hours moving through the spire, observing technologies and methods that were far beyond human understanding. Machines seemed to think for themselves. Structures adapted to the environment, and energy flowed in ways that defied physics as Alex knew it. Yet Lyra explained each concept patiently, never rushing, allowing him to absorb the information slowly. You will not understand everything at once, she said, but you will learn. And humans have a unique way of learning that is sometimes faster than we expect. That is your advantage. As night fell on the alien world, the twin moons casting silver light over the forest outside, Lyra led Alex to a balcony that overlooked the city. The glowing buildings stretched for miles, each one alive in its own way. Alex felt a mix of awe and humility. Humanity had barely begun to explore the stars, yet here was a civilization far beyond anything he had imagined. And they had noticed humans, seen their potential. Will they attack? Alex asked suddenly, nodding toward the stars beyond the city. Lyra followed his gaze. Perhaps. There are others who do not welcome new arrivals. There are those who would destroy rather than understand. But humans are unpredictable, and that may be their greatest strength. Alex realized that Lyra was not just an observer. She was a guide, a teacher, and perhaps something more. Someone who saw possibilities in him that even he could not yet see. Can we trust them? He asked quietly. Lyra smiled faintly. Trust is not given lightly. But humans earn respect through action, courage, and creativity. That is how you will survive. That is how you will be seen as worthy. As they stood together, Alex felt the weight of his mission settle over him. He was no longer just exploring an alien world. He was stepping into a larger story, one where humanity could either rise to meet incredible challenges or falter under the weight of the unknown. Then we need to prepare, Alex said, determination in his voice. If there is a threat coming, we have to be ready. Lyra nodded. And you will be. But preparation is not only about weapons or tactics. It is about understanding yourself, your people, and the choices that shape destiny. Humans often overlook this. That is why you are here. Alex studied her face, trying to understand her meaning. She was small and fragile looking, yet the power she conveyed was immense. It was not the kind of strength that came from force, it was the strength of knowledge, perception, and certainty. He realized that he would need to learn not just from her, but from the universe itself, and from the ways humans could adapt in the face of impossible odds. The hours passed quickly, the night deepening around them. Alex felt a strange sense of calm despite the enormity of what lay ahead. Lyra had shown him not only the wonders of her civilization, but also the truth about humanity, that even in the darkest moments, humans could shine. Finally, Lyra led him back to the spire's entrance, where the first rays of dawn began to touch the violet grass. "Rest now," she said. "Tomorrow we will begin the lessons that will prepare you for what is coming. You must understand, adapt, and act. Only then can humanity prove its worth." Alex nodded, still overwhelmed by what he had seen. But he also felt something new, a sense of purpose, of clarity. For the first time in his life, he understood that being human was more than a simple existence. It was a potential, a force that could surprise the universe if only given the chance. As he settled into his temporary quarters, Alex thought about the shadows he had seen in the archive, the fleet of darkness that threatened countless worlds. He knew the coming days would test him, his team, and all of humanity in ways he could not yet imagine. But he also knew something crucial. Humans were not helpless. They could adapt. They could fight. They could overcome. And with Lyra's guidance, he would learn how. Outside, the alien city shimmered under the twin suns, alive with possibilities. And somewhere in the quiet hum of energy, Alex felt a faint whisper again echoing in his mind. "You're late, but you are here now. That is what counts." The morning light poured over the alien city, painting the crystal spire and the violet grass outside in hues of gold and silver. Commander Alex Reinhardt stepped out onto the balcony again, his mind still buzzing with the visions from the archive. The fleet of shadowy enemies he had seen there was real, Lyra had said. They were coming, and soon. But Alex felt a strange surge of determination. Humans had survived countless challenges before. They could do it again. Lyra joined him quietly, her silver hair catching the sunlight. "Today," she said, "you will see how humans can prove themselves. Observation is not enough. Action is required," Alex nodded. He felt ready. He had learned much from Lyra about the Valyrians, about the energy that pulsed through the city, and about possibilities, the futures that could unfold from choices made now. But learning alone would not be enough. The humans had to act. They made their way through the shifting corridors of the spire. Alex noticed again how the walls seemed to guide them, moving subtly to accommodate their passage. It was as though the city itself wanted him to succeed. They reached a wide platform overlooking the forest, and Lyra pointed toward a cluster of distant lights moving in the sky. "Your fleet is approaching," she said. "They will test you, but you will show them what humans can do." Alex squinted. The lights were small at first, but their numbers grew steadily, forming a dark cloud against the horizon. He could sense their intent: destruction, precision, cold and merciless. It was not just a threat to the planet, but to the entire region of space. "How can we fight them?" he asked, the weight of the task pressing down on him. Lyra smiled faintly. "You already know, even if you do not realize it. Humans have strength and ingenuity, courage and unpredictability. That is your weapon." Alex turned to his team, who had been watching quietly from behind. The engineers and linguists nodded, ready for whatever came next. They were humans, resilient, clever, and adaptable, and Alex would show them how to use those qualities against an enemy that had never faced such resistance before. The first attack came sooner than expected. Shadows streaked across the skies, dark shapes moving faster than any human craft could. They fired energy beams at the alien city, striking the crystal buildings. Alex's sensors picked up the damage, and he realized immediately that they could not match the enemy in sheer firepower. "Think. Don't fight," Alex shouted to his team. "Use your minds, not just your weapons." The engineers worked quickly, creating devices that could manipulate the energy in the environment. They redirected power from the crystal buildings to form barriers, shields that absorbed and deflected the enemy's beams. The linguist analyzed the attack patterns and gave Alex the sequence of likely strikes, allowing them to anticipate and avoid destruction. Lyra watched silently, impressed. "You see," she said to Alex, "this is why you are important. Humans improvise. Humans adapt. Others cannot predict their actions. Alex felt a surge of pride but did not let it distract him. Every second counted. The fleet advanced and their attacks grew more precise. Yet each time they tried to break through, the humans found another solution, diverting energy, creating decoys, or manipulating the terrain to their advantage. "This is incredible," one of his engineers exclaimed. "They're trying to destroy everything and we're still holding them off." Alex nodded, keeping his focus. "We're not just holding them off. We're showing them that humans are not easy to defeat. Every action counts. Every choice matters." Lyra led him to a vantage point where they could observe the enemy more closely. "Watch them," she said. "Notice their weaknesses. Humans do not always have the strongest weapons, but they see opportunities where others see only walls." Alex studied the fleet. He saw patterns in their formations, repeated behaviors that the enemy thought were unnoticeable. Using this knowledge, he coordinated small teams to exploit gaps in the attacks. Small strikes, targeted interventions, and clever diversions began to turn the tide. The shadowy fleet faltered, unaccustomed to an opponent that did not follow predictable patterns. "Look at that," Lyra said softly. "Humans are making them hesitate." Alex allowed himself a small smile, but he did not relax. The enemy was still formidable, and any mistake could be fatal. Yet he felt something he had never felt before. A confidence born not of arrogance, but of trust in his people and in human potential. Hours passed. The battle continued, and slowly the humans began to gain the upper hand. They did not destroy the enemy outright. They did something perhaps more impressive. They forced the invaders to reconsider, to retreat, and to acknowledge that humans were not to be underestimated. The last of the shadowy ships vanished beyond the horizon, leaving silence and a field of glowing crystal in its wake. Alex's team cheered, exhausted but triumphant. They had faced an enemy that outclassed them in technology and firepower, and yet they had survived. Lyra approached Alex, her expression calm but proud. "You have done more than survive. You have shown what humans can do. You have proven that unpredictability, courage, and ingenuity are qualities that even the most advanced civilizations must respect." Alex exhaled, relief flooding through him. "It wasn't easy," he admitted, "but we did it." "Yes," Lyra said, "and this is only the beginning. You have shown potential, but there are greater challenges ahead. You must learn to anticipate, to adapt, and to trust in what humans can accomplish. The galaxy will not wait, and neither should you." Alex looked at the horizon, the violet grass and glowing forest stretching out before him. He realized that this planet, this city, and Lyra herself were not just a destination. They were a proving ground. Humanity had been tested, and for the first time it had begun to understand the scale of its own potential. "What happens next?" he asked, turning to Lyra. She smiled faintly. "Next you learn. You understand not only your strengths but your weaknesses. You see the choices that shape not only survival but destiny, and you prepare for what comes beyond this." Alex nodded. He felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had been underestimated, but that was about to change. He would lead, guide, and inspire. And together with Lyra, he would ensure that humans earned their place among the stars, not just as explorers, but as survivors, as innovators, and as a force the universe could not ignore. As the twin moons rose once more over the alien world, Alex looked up, thinking of the battles yet to come. He knew that there would be more challenges, more enemies, and more tests of humanity's ingenuity. But he also knew this: humans were capable of greatness, and with every decision, every choice, and every act of courage, they would prove it again and again. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and grounding. "Remember," she whispered, "you were late, but you are here now. That is what matters. And now you must continue forward. Humanity's story is just beginning." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words and the power of possibility. The battle had been won, but the war, the true test of human potential, was still ahead. And he would meet it with everything he had. For the first time in his life, Alex understood that being human was not just about survival. It was about proving, against impossible odds, that humanity could rise, adapt, and inspire even in the face of the unknown. And with Lyra guiding him, he would learn exactly how to do that. The alien city was quiet now, the aftermath of the battle leaving only faint trails of energy in the sky. Commander Alex Reinhardt stood on the balcony of the Crystal Spire, his eyes tracing the horizon where the shadowy fleet had retreated. The twin moons cast silver light across the violet grass, painting the alien world in a soft glow. Victory had been won, but Alex knew this was only the beginning. The universe held challenges far greater than the fleet they had just faced. Lyra approached silently, her presence calm and reassuring. "You did well," she said softly, "but the true test is not yet over. You have faced enemies that attack with force, but there are challenges that cannot be defeated by weapons alone." Alex nodded, absorbing her words. He had seen the potential of humans, their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, but Lyra was reminding him that the greatest victories came not just from survival, but from understanding, planning, and foresight. "What do we do now?" he asked. Lyra's silver eyes reflected the light of the moons. "We prepare. There is knowledge in the archives you have yet to see, and wisdom in my people that can guide humans further. You must learn not only to fight, but to understand the universe and your place within it." They walked through the corridors of the spire, past glowing walls that shifted with thought, until they reached a chamber unlike any Alex had seen before. The ceiling seemed to open into the cosmos itself, stars twinkling as if he could reach out and touch them. The floor reflected the universe above, creating the illusion of walking among the stars. In the center floated a sphere of pure light, radiating calm energy that seemed to whisper truths without words. "This is the core of knowledge," Lyra explained. "Here, you will see possibilities for humanity, futures that can be shaped by courage, intelligence, and choice. This is what the galaxy waits for, not humans who follow instructions, but humans who create, innovate, and inspire." Alex stepped closer to the glowing sphere, feeling its energy pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. Visions appeared before him. Planets thriving, civilizations growing, and humans exploring the stars with ingenuity that amazed even Lyra's people. But then darker images appeared. Entire worlds consumed by shadow. Civilizations destroyed because they failed to act or adapt. He saw humans failing, succumbing to fear, hesitation, and lack of imagination. "This is what you face," Lyra said. "The universe will not wait. Only those who understand, adapt, and act will survive. Humans have the potential, Alex, but potential is not enough without effort, without courage, without wisdom." Alex took a deep breath. He realized that the victories against the shadowy fleet were only the first step. Humanity had survived because they were clever, resourceful, and willing to act. But there were greater challenges ahead, challenges that would test not only strength but understanding, foresight, and morality. "What must I do?" he asked. Lyra's gaze met his. "You must guide humans. You must show them that they are capable of more than they believe. You must help them see that survival is not just about fighting, but about creating, learning, and inspiring others. And you must act quickly, for time is not on your side." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words and the responsibility they carried. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but humanity had something unique, something that no alien race could replicate. They had creativity, courage, and the ability to surprise, and with guidance they could turn that potential into reality. Suddenly a ripple of energy ran through the chamber. Images shifted, showing a new threat approaching. A massive force moving silently through the void, unlike anything Alex had seen before. It was larger than the shadowy fleet, with structures that seemed alive, energy that bent the very space around it, and an intelligence that radiated through the void. "They are coming," Lyra said quietly. "This is the real test, the challenge that will determine humanity's place in the galaxy." Alex felt a surge of determination. "Then we prepare. We use everything we've learned, everything humans are capable of." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but remember, this is not only a test of strength. It is a test of ingenuity, morality, and adaptability. Humans must learn to anticipate, to create solutions from impossibilities, and to inspire allies where there are none." The following days passed in a blur of preparation. Alex worked closely with Lyra and the other humans, integrating Valyrian knowledge with human ingenuity. They developed strategies, designed defensive structures, and trained for countless scenarios. Every exercise challenged their assumptions, forcing them to think differently, to adapt, and to act with precision. Alex watched as his team learned, as humans displayed creativity and courage that even the Valyrians had not fully expected. They crafted decoys from the energy in the city, manipulated gravity fields to create barriers, and devised tactics that used their enemies' expectations against them. Lyra observed silently, occasionally guiding them with subtle insights that opened new possibilities. On the final day of preparation, the distant threat appeared. It moved through space with eerie precision, its massive form casting shadows across the stars. Alex and his team were ready. They were outnumbered, outclassed in technology but not in creativity, courage, or adaptability. "Remember what you are capable of," Alex said to his team. "Trust yourselves, trust each other, and trust that humans can do the impossible." The battle began. Energy beams cut through the sky, and massive ships moved with terrifying speed. Alex coordinated his team, using the strategies they had developed over days of preparation. Small teams exploited weaknesses in the enemy's patterns, creating openings for larger maneuvers. Decoys, energy redirection, and rapid improvisation became their tools, and slowly, the enemy began to falter. Lyra watched from above, a faint glow of pride in her eyes. "You see?" she whispered. "Humans are capable of far more than we imagined. They do not rely solely on strength or calculation. They innovate. They inspire. They survive." Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. They were succeeding not because they were stronger, but because they were unpredictable, clever, and willing to act where others hesitated. Every choice, every small decision, shaped the outcome of the battle. Humans were proving their worth on a galactic scale. Hours passed, the battle raging in waves. The enemy adapted, but so did humans. Every setback was met with ingenuity. Every attack countered with creativity. Slowly the tide turned. The massive force that had seemed unstoppable began to retreat, unable to anticipate the clever maneuvers and rapid adaptation of humans. Finally, silence fell across the alien world. The threat had been driven back, not destroyed, but delayed. Alex and his team stood among the glowing buildings, exhausted but triumphant. They had faced the impossible and survived. They had proven that humanity was capable of more than any observer, alien or otherwise, had expected. Lyra approached Alex, her eyes soft with admiration. "You have done more than survive. You have shown that humans can rise to challenges that seem impossible, that they can adapt, innovate, and inspire. That is why you are here. That is why you were called late." Alex looked out at the horizon, the violet grass shimmering in the light of the twin moons. He realized that this planet, this city, and Lyra herself had not just been a destination. They had been a proving ground. Humanity had been tested, and it had risen to meet the challenge. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Lyra smiled. "Now you continue. Humans will face more challenges, more threats, and more choices that will shape the galaxy. But you have learned something crucial. Survival is not enough. You must adapt, innovate, and inspire. You must trust yourselves and each other. That is how humans will shape their destiny." Alex nodded, feeling a sense of purpose unlike anything he had known. The battles were over, but the journey had just begun. Humanity had earned respect not through sheer force, but through courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to rise above fear. As he stood with Lyra, gazing at the stars, Alex understood the truth of her words. Humans were not only survivors, they were creators, innovators, and a force the universe could not ignore. And with every choice they made, every act of courage, they would continue to prove it. Lyra whispered once more, softly but with certainty. "You were late, but you are here now. That is what counts. And now, the real journey begins." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words and the vast possibilities before him. He knew that humanity's story was only beginning, that the challenges ahead would be greater than anything they had faced, and that the universe would watch closely. But he also knew that humans were ready. They had proven their worth, and they would continue to do so. One choice, one act of courage, one innovation at a time. And as the twin moons rose high in the sky, casting silver light over the alien world, Alex felt hope, determination, and the undeniable truth that humanity, no matter how late they might arrive, could rise, adapt, and shape their destiny among the stars.